Daisies has a very simple story. Two teenagers decide that they will be spoiled, and they will spoil everything around them. They come up with ways to exploit and annoy other people and to consume as much food as they can. It's a very funny film and has remained one of the most popular from the Czechoslovak New Wave of the 1960s. In the past few decades, commentators have often assumed Daisies is a feminist film, even though director Věra Chytilová never agreed that it was. Yes, the two Maries are what is by now a cliché, strong female characters, but not all strong females are role models. Then there's the obvious comparison of the protagonist's behavior to the war footage. We can't ignore those passages if we want to understand this challenging film. Chytilová consistently emphasized that the film deals with destruction, the kind of destruction based on selfishness, greed, obsessive consumption, and political apathy. She also emphasized that she wanted to make it entertaining, which it certainly is. Daisies is about people's ability to destroy things, which is the opposite of creativity, yet there is a certain creative attractiveness within destruction. In developing this theme, the film does not proceed in a familiar way. Typically, a protagonist conceives a goal and works toward it. In Daisies, the two Maries' goal is to spoil everything. It's an impossible goal, since there will always be more to destroy. Instead of causes and effects creating a chain that moves the plot forward, Daisies uses motifs, repetitions of certain elements that trace the trajectory of the heroines as they become more and more spoiled. One obvious motif is the repetition of scenes taking place in the same locales. These locales help trace the girls' progress. In particular, as we'll see, their apartment gradually deteriorates across the course of the film. One of the most important motifs is the use of plants, from trees and grass to flowers to fruits and vegetables. In some scenes, this motif is obvious, but there are less noticeable uses. The daisy crown is central to the plant motif. It's there from the start, as Marie too puts it on, declaring that she's a doll.
Já jsem pana.
It's notable that just as Marie too picks up the crown, there's a cut to a collapsing building. This recalls the war footage that had played during the opening credits and that will return at the end. It's the first link of the plant motif to destruction. There is a sudden cut from black and white to color as Marie too falls into a field of daisies. The countryside is obviously set up as a contrast to the rather drab city scenes that dominate the film. It also, I think, suggests that in fact the world is not entirely spoiled. Therefore, they have no justification in caring about nothing and trying to spoil everything. As the scene ends, Marie too plucks what appears to be an apple from the tree. Another quick transition reveals the girl's apartment. In contrast to the verdant field, the plants here are dead and dried. These plants will become less visible as the girls ruin the apartment across the course of the film. Marie too spits out a peach pit, revealing that the tree in the previous scene bore both apples and peaches. She cuts open a duvet cover to reveal a duvet with a floral pattern. This is the first time when flowers are associated with an act of destruction, albeit a minor one. When she goes to the closet, its doors are also covered with floral patterned cloth. Floral patterns will appear in the costumes and decor in many scenes, keeping the plant motif present in subtle ways.
Ow!
This scene ends with a bunch of green apples falling to the floor, seemingly from nowhere.
Kam? Někam, kde něco je?
They will be one of the most prominent items in the plant motif.
A co dál?
The following scene is very short but crucial. Marie 1 asks, "What now?" What now is their plan for spoiling everything. Marie 2's reply is wordless. She takes off the daisy crown and tosses it toward a man floating in the nearby river. This is clearly a sort of double metaphor, the daisies suggesting innocence and the gesture indicating that they will use that innocence as bait to lure gullible men. They catch one, as the next scene indicates. It begins in the ladies' lavatory. Here's a case where the plant motif shows up in the costumes, with the attendant wearing a smock with a pattern of leaves.
Kolik je vám vlastně let?
Proč vás to vlastně zajímá?
Klidně časová.
Critics often justify their opinion that this is a feminist film by claiming that the women heroically resist these lecherous men. In Daisies, though, feminism is at best a subsidiary theme. It's clear that the women have picked up the men rather than the reverse. The point is to get them to pay for expensive meals.
Ale co pak mi nevíte?
The men may expect sexual favors, but the girls have no trouble dumping them at the train station. There follows the lengthy cabaret scene, where the plant motif shows up only in the male dancer's large boutonniere. The scene serves to ramp up the film's outrageously slapstick humor. The point is to make the girls' destructive actions entertaining. The plant imagery proliferates in the next scene. A shot of the daisy crown on grass might lead us to think that the heroines have gone to the country again. Instead, the next shot reveals Marie too lying on artificial grass surrounded by calla lily leaves. She has changed from a white dress to a pale green one, in keeping with the decor. Marie 1 enters and discovers that her roommate is faking a suicide attempt.
Umři.
When the phone rings, Marie 2 says, "Die, die, die," to the caller. And a quick montage of red roses accompanies her words. Red roses will return as foreshadowings of death. In a very brief sunbathing scene, Marie 1 tosses the daisy crown in the river, and a bunch of green apples bob up. As with the previous crown-tossing action, the second restaurant scene follows. The girls and their victim of the evening play at juggling with apples. At one point, Marie 2 steals some grapes from a neighboring table. The actions here suggest that the two girls' infractions so far are fairly minor, hardly spoiling everything. The following scene at the train station contains a turning point of sorts. After seeing the man off, Marie 2 remarks, "This is the fifth one to leave. This isn't any fun anymore." They laugh, and Marie 1 replies, "We must come up with something better."
Julie, už vím, co je to láska.
The something better turns out in the next scene to be Marie 2 going with her date to his apartment. She is already stripped completely naked by the start and flirts with him as he tells her of his love. There's floral imagery as part of the decor, and a butterfly on a red rose.
Sedněte si, já vám uvařím kafe dobrý.
Another escalation, and a more disturbing one, comes in the second scene in a ladies' lavatory. A different attendant offers them coffee. While she fetches it, a sophisticated woman in a dress with a floral pattern haughtily ignores them.
Hele, ona tady má aspoň bůra.
The girls then steal the attendant's tip money. In a bar, backed by flocked wallpaper with a plant pattern, they quarrel. Having committed a theft, they deliberately leave the money behind when they exit, with Marie 1 saying, "We'll do something great, all right."
Hoříme!
In the third apartment scene, something great is revealed to be burning streamers. Marie 1 is dressed in floral pajamas. A plate of fruit sits on the bed, along with other food. Eventually, Marie 2 remarks, "Only fruit now."
Já mám ještě na něco hlad.
This makes explicit what becomes increasingly clear over the course of the film, that the two much prefer rich foods like meat and creamy desserts over fruit. Through the rest of the film, plant imagery reflects the efforts of the girls to escalate their plot to spoil the world. The third restaurant scene, with an elderly man, is set against another wall with flocked floral pattern wallpaper. The girls seem glum and soon send him off at the train station.
Mě už to nebaví.
Marie 2 remarks, "I'm bored." Marie 1 replies, "I can't keep thinking up new things all the time." Marie 2 concludes, "We'll have to think of a worse life." In the fourth apartment scene, they discuss all the men they have tricked into feeding them. By now, the walls and even the ceiling are covered with the names and phone numbers of these men, to the point where the dried flowers are nearly obliterated. Ominously, a new picture of a red rose has been added to the wall. After brief scenes at the sunbathing decks and in the apartment, the pair go for a walk. This is the second countryside scene. It begins with the two rolling down a hill. They encounter the enigmatic machine from the opening credits, now surrounded by plants. Moving on, they observe a farmer or gardener in the midst of a field with flowers in the background. Their reaction is that he must live a terrible life. We next see them trying to eat uncooked corn that they have presumably stolen. The failure of the farmer and some bicyclists to notice the two girls causes an existential crisis for the pair.
Proč nám aspoň nezačal nadávat?
They sit discussing whether they exist or not, while Marie too eats a presumably stolen carrot. The point here is that for all the claims that they will do worse things, their plans to spoil everything remain at a pretty trivial level. The last apartment scene shows the room nearly ruined. A number of the plant motifs return to remind us of what the room was like initially. A single calla lily leaf remains. Each girl wears a camisole with a leaf pattern. The girls wrap each other in the floral patterned duvet and artificial grass. They use scissors to cut each other into fragments, including a close-up of their disembodied heads. The red rose, associated with death, is seemingly the only undamaged part of the decor and is prominently placed beside them. A quick pixelation of shards of the room destroys the space altogether, and we never see the apartment again. The theme of destruction within the narrative briefly gives way to destruction of the cinematic image itself. The climax begins with the pair exploring the depths of a large building. Here they find a lavish banquet laid out and unguarded. As Marie too surveys the buffet table, music from Wagner's Götterdämmerung begins and plays through much of the 17-minute scene. It will indeed be the end for the pair, who finally accomplish the worst life that they were aiming for. Many of the dishes are unidentifiable, especially since the scene begins in black and white. But it's clear that the few fruits and flowers we might notice have been demoted to the status of garnishes. The culmination of the plant imagery comes when the girls discover a huge cake with the familiar green apples used as decoration. There's also a simple bowl of fresh fruit, including more apples, sitting to one side, seemingly unnoticed. The girls concentrate on the cake, starting a food fight with it. Then Marie too picks up the bowl of fruit, but she takes one grape before throwing the rest at the table. Some might be inclined to think of Daisies as a feminist film because the girls feel free to do whatever they wish. But let's consider the context in Czechoslovakia in the late 1960s. There were food shortages, and the sight of these girls willfully destroying expensive dishes would upset audiences who could barely get even modest food. The earlier scene in which the girls cut up and eat food in their apartment probably gives a sample of what a lot of people could afford at the time. Sausages, bread, eggs, and pickles. The girls want meat, chicken, or preferably steak, and when they ultimately discover an abundance of such things, they destroy them. At the end, the film returns to the war footage that had begun it, and the final title appears. The film remains entertaining, and the creative destructiveness caused by the girls remains relatively minor.
My jsme přece doopravdy šťastné.
But Chytilova's point is harsh. The two Maries epitomize charming but thoughtless indulgence. Societies in which citizens are entirely self-centered, indulge in rampant consumerism, and ignore politics are not likely to pay much attention to whether their governments are corrupt or inclined to start wars.
Vadí?